Special Report.
And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Shad Olson from the News Center 1 News Desk, bringing you breaking news, information coming our way this morning. That is the story of the day, the story of the week, and possibly how this plays out, the story of the month, as we look at what happened this morning in southeastern Montana, where a B-1 bomber has gone down. 4 crew members were able to eject safely from that crash, and we have a picture that we're going to show you from this crash scene east of Broadus, Montana. It is in that remote area known as the Hammonds Corners region. It's between Broadus and Ekalaka. It is a very underpopulated area. And here's what we can tell you about this crash so far. There are no details about what happened with that plane or why it might have gone down. Those, of course, will come later. But what we can tell you is that that plane did go down. The 4 crew members on board were able to eject safely. They were able to get out of the plane. They've suffered non-life-threatening injuries, we are told at this point. And so they will wait to see what's happening with them. We are in the process. News Center 1's in the process of covering this from all angles. We have somebody en route to the crash scene, and our own Kirsten Swanson was out at Ellsworth Air Force Base just recently for the official press conference to talk about this incident as well. And so we'll keep you posted as to what's happening. What we can tell you is that this is the first crash that's taken place involving a B-1 bomber from Ellsworth or from Dyess, Texas, either one for that matter, since December of 2001. In December of 2001, a bomber that was stationed at Diego Garcia as part of Operation Enduring Freedom crashed in the Indian Ocean out of that base there as part of that operation. If we can go to our video now to talk about some of these things. The crash that took place off of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, there were no loss of life there at any point either. There was also a runway incident in 2008 that took place in the nation of Qatar. And what happened there was a hydraulic failure which caused the plane to slide off the end of the runway. All the bombs, the payload of that plane detonating as part of the fire that ensued after that crash at the end of the runway in Qatar. But this is the first time that we've seen a B-1 actually go down in flight as part of either military operations or training operations since 2001. So more than a decade of air operations without an actual airborne crash-related incident during that time. Now, the area up in southeastern Montana that's affected in this crash, it's a routine training mission. By all accounts, what we know is that they were flying to the Powder River Training Complex. That's a massive 8,600 square mile area where they conduct training operations. It's one of the preeminent electronic bombing ranges in all of the Air Force. Multiple bases use this location to make sure that they are mission capable and to hone their skills on the bombing range. And so we know that this is an area that sees a lot of traffic. It's the place where Ellsworth crews normally fly to as part of their training, and it is called the Powder River Mission Operational Area, or the Powder River MOA, the Powder River Training Complex and Electronic Range out there. Now, Senator Tim Johnston was in Rapid City today, and we happened to be able to ask him and talk to him in the moments following the crash about his thoughts about this incident that took place this morning. Here's Senator Johnson.
All grateful that the crash of the B-1 out of Rapid City, Ellsworth Air Force Base, seems to have the 4 people on board all seem to have been okay. They came out of it without life-threatening injuries, but more will happen as we look into the facts of the case.
Now, as we've already talked about, there will be investigation, and that takes some time to determine what exactly happened in relation to this plane and what brought it out of the sky today. But there's a lot of concern, and even at the meeting where Senator Johnson was this morning at the VFW, there was talk already about the impacts of the spending cuts and the budgetary concerns and all of the things that serve as a backdrop for this event that are happening in Washington, D.C. Of course, there's a great amount of budgetary pressure that's been happening there. We're under what's known as the sequestration, the sequester, the spending reductions, which had limited flight availability and mission training opportunity for those B-1 crews. And even the maintenance crews had talked about that being a problem and being a potential risk and hazard. They said they can maintain these planes very well, but unless they're flying, they don't know exactly what it is that they're looking for in terms of deficiencies, structural deficiencies, or things that they need to be looking at in terms of making sure that those planes are indeed flight ready, that the airframes are in good shape, and that there are not problems in terms of the mechanical readiness of those planes. So there's a lot of talk about the sequestration and the spending cuts in Washington. I asked Senator Johnson about that, and this was his response.
Things we must look into is what effect did the sequestration have on the accident, and we'll find out soon. But that's one key thing that is to be found out as an impact of the sequestration.
Now, News Center 1's reporter Kirsten Swanson was out at Ellsworth Air Force Base for an official press conference about this. They were more forthcoming about some of the details. They're still not releasing the names of the crew members who were affected, pending notification of relatives. They said they didn't want there to be any sort of cross-confusion in terms of attributing this injury or that injury to the wrong crew member. And so they're still keeping those crew members' names. The 4 crewmen that were on board that flight this morning, they're keeping those under wraps until there's time to notify the relatives and let them know exactly what is transpired with their loved one on this training mission. So what we can tell you is that a B-1 bomber on a routine training mission went down in southeastern Montana this morning. It crashed. The 4 crew members on board were able to eject safely, and so only suffered non-life-threatening injuries in that accident. We'll be telling you more, and we'll continue to report on this throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It will, of course, be our lead story on News Center 1 at 5:30 right here. Again, a B-1 bomber going down in southeastern Montana this morning. We'll have more details as those continue to unfold, and we become aware of them right here, and we'll give you more details in terms of the crew members on board. Hopefully, before the end of the day, we'll have those released and in hand to pass along as well. I'm Shad Olson reporting live right here from the News Center 1 News Desk. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.